My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. As we move along in Advent, wonderfully, we have the Alleluia verse of today's Gospel. It says, "Behold, the Lord comes to save his people. Blessed are those prepared to meet him." Isn't this all about Advent? To prepare to meet you, Lord. And the Psalm verse says, "I shall live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." We know that could be the tabernacle, the church, but also in that other place you most like to live, in our souls in grace. Especially, Lord, in the souls of the poor, the sick, children, those who seek and find them, they find you. Let's go to today's Gospel. At that time, Jesus walked by the Sea of Galilee, went up on the mountain, and sat down there. Great crowds came to him, having with them the lame, the blind, the deformed, the mute, and many others. They placed them at his feet, and he cured them. The crowds were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the deformed made whole, the lame walking, and the blind able to see, and they glorified the God of Israel. They glorified you, Lord. You came, you showed in these signs to the sick, the poor, that you were coming to them as the Messiah would. And if we want to be those blessed that are prepared to meet him, to meet you, Lord, help us to think about whom you came to be with, whom you came to live in. Living in memory, liturgical memory, there are lessons to be learned in Advent. Who will do this teaching? Who is teaching who? Jesus, I want to learn that when people bring people to you, you heal them in many ways. Jesus, I want to learn what this service of mercy can do. Jesus, I know I am called to be another you, another Christ. Help me to learn this in this Advent, what this closeness to you can do. How do I learn to be another you, another Christ? I find you in others, and I learn through others. So it is, who is teaching who? The Brazilian writer and singer Paulo Coelho once said, "A child can teach an adult 3 things. To be happy for no reason, to always be curious, and to fight tirelessly for something." Megan Taylor says, "As a teacher, I have the privilege of seeing children learn and discover new things. Simultaneously, there is nothing more rewarding than watching a student have a light bulb moment when making connections. While I teach them lessons, in return they do the same. My students teach me things I may not know or may have forgotten as an adult. In reality, children are some of the world's best teachers for adults. As a person grows up and gets older, there can be a tendency to dismiss or overlook the simpler and positive things in life. However, these lessons are never far from a child's heart and mind. Surprisingly, by listening to and interacting with a child, an adult can be quickly reminded of the messages. Saint Josemaria said, "Children, the sick, as you write these words, don't you feel tempted to use capitals? The reason is that in children and in the sick, a soul in love sees him." And we can add easily enough, in the poor, in the ones that are marginalized. Yes, we see you, Lord. As a young priest, Saint Josemaria went among the poor, the sick, and the children to seek the strength needed to set in motion the immense project that God had placed on his shoulders, the founding of Opus Dei. It was a school of suffering where his soul would be tempered to its mission. What would you like to do if you were rich, very rich? This unusual question came from the lips of young Father Jose Maria, fresh from his priestly ordination and caught up in his first assignment to Perdiguera, a village with a population of 800, not far from Saragossa. He was speaking with the son of a family with whom he lodged, a little boy who spent each day pasturing goats, and to whom he taught catechism each evening in preparation for First Holy Communion. In his own words, he said, "One day, to see how much he was learning, it occurred to me to ask him, 'What would you like to do if you were rich, very rich?' 'What does being rich mean?' he answered. 'To be rich is to have a lot of money, to have a bank.' 'And what is a bank?' I explained it in a very simple way and continued, 'To be rich is to have a lot of land instead of goats, very big cows, and to go to meetings, change suits 3 times a day. What would you do if you were rich?' His eyes opened wide, and then at last he said, 'I'd eat lots of bowls of soup with wine in it.'" Hilarious. But here, in this simplicity, who is teaching who? St. Josemaria goes on, "All of our ambitions come down to that. Nothing is worthwhile. Strangely enough, I have never forgotten that story. It struck me and made me think, Josemaria, it is the Holy Spirit speaking. God in his wisdom did this to teach me the things of the earth. All of them come to that, very, very little." He would later teach his spiritual sons, who are called to holy orders, that they had to be priests 100%, priestly priests, priests at the service of souls. He said, "To serve is the greatest joy that one can receive, and this is what priests do, day and night at the service of all. Otherwise, we are not priests. A priest should love the young and the old, the poor and the rich, the sick and the children. He should prepare himself well to celebrate Mass. He should welcome and take care of souls one by one, like a shepherd who knows his flock and calls each sheep by a name. We priests do not have rights. I like to think of myself as a servant of all, and in this title I shall take pride." This takes a lot of virtue. This takes a lot of learning. And who is teaching who? In Dilexi of Pope Leo XIV, we have some beautiful words. "Not infrequently, our prosperity can make us blind to the needs of others, and make us even think that our happiness and fulfillment depend on ourselves alone, apart from others. In such cases, the poor can act as silent teachers for us, making us conscious of our presumption and instilling within us a rightful spirit of humility. Jesus, help me to have this spirit of humility, to be at the service of all, to have this teaching that the poor can give me." Pope Leo goes on to say in Dilexi, "While it is true that the rich care for the poor, the opposite is no less true. This is a remarkable fact confirmed by the entire Christian tradition. Lives can actually be turned around by the realization that the poor have much to teach us about the gospel and its demands." Jesus, let me hear this. It goes on, "By their silent witness, they make us confront the precariousness of our existence. The elderly, for example, by their physical frailty, remind us of our own fragility, even as we attempt to conceal it behind our apparent prosperity and outward appearance. The poor, too, remind us how baseless is the attitude of aggressive arrogance with which we frequently confront life's difficulties. They remind us of how uncertain and empty our seemingly safe and secure lives may be." Again, who's teaching who? Jesus, put me in the presence of the poor, the sick children, the elderly, that I may learn lessons from them. Dilexi goes on to say, "No Christian can regard the poor simply as a societal problem. They are part of our family. They are one of us. Nor can our relationship to the poor be reduced to merely another ecclesial activity or function. In the words of the Aparecida document, we are asked to devote time to the poor, to give them loving attention, to listen to them with interest, to stand by them in difficult moments, choosing to spend hours, weeks, or years of our lives with them, and striving to transform their situations starting from them. We cannot forget that this is what Jesus himself proposed in his actions and by his words. Oh, what a time of Advent to be thinking of these things. Children love Advent. I love Advent. And children are always learning. May I learn in this Advent again to deal with you, Lord, to find the lessons you have me certain in front of me in the poor, in the sick, in the elderly, in the lonely. Yes, learning again to find you. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help for putting them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.